Notre Dame recruiting fans, welcome back to the channel here for another video. Today, I'll be going over 7 of the current 21 Notre Dame football recruits that are committed, how they committed, what were some of their top schools. Was it an intriguing finish? Was it pretty much planned? I'll start with one of the crazier ones. I'll start with Tyson Ford. Tyson Ford was seen to be an Oklahoma lock all throughout the winter until February. He committed February something. And then I believe he was committing on Monday. It was a holiday weekend, if I am not mistaken. And that Friday or Saturday night, he sat down in his bed, and for a few hours, he said, you know what, I'm going to think by myself here, what are the pros and cons of every single school? He went down the list. Oklahoma, Georgia was also one of his top schools, Missouri, the in-state school, but it was virtually down to Oklahoma and Notre Dame by the start of that thing in his head. By the end of that session, I should say, or that however long it was, he said, you know what, Notre Dame is the best spot for me. Notre Dame is where I'm going to excel as a person, academically and on the football field. And he's been locked up, committed. LSU and Clemson have also offered since he committed in February. Didn't even report those offers. Wanted to let everyone know he's locked in with ND. Very, very talented player, ranked inside the top 125. And I'm excited to see what he does in South Bend. Next up is Niuafe Tuhulimaka. Another interesting recruitment. Niuafe was committed to USC for just about a year, decommitted in late January of 2021. A few days before that, Brian Polian and Marcus Freeman sent him out an offer, and things started picking up. Notre Dame gained momentum fast, looked like the school to beat. Texas came on late. They were probably the main contender, but when it was all said and done, he ended up in this Notre Dame class, is fully locked in. But I do want to say this. When he took that Texas visit, he really thought Texas was the place for him. It really shot up his board. I honestly think they were the leader for those few days. But then once he got on campus, once he got to South Bend, everything switched back to the way it had been, and Notre Dame was number one in his recruitment. By the way, you're watching Steve Angeli throw the ball there. That's Jaden Bellamy. He's the guy highlights you are watching. I'll talk about Jaden right now. Father played at Rutgers back in the day. Lives in New Jersey, so Rutgers was always involved there, one of his first offers. Ended up narrowing it down to Penn State, Rutgers, and Notre Dame. Penn State probably finished third here. Notre Dame was first, Rutgers was probably second. Now, not the most crazy recruitment. A lot of people weren't sure if he'd be a take. He ended up being a take. Really like his game. He's playing wide receiver here. He's going to play probably corner or safety at the next level, but very talented kid. Underranked in my opinion. I think he's a 4-star. He's a pretty high 3-star, but I could definitely see that being moved up as the year goes on. Plays for an impressive Bergen Catholic squad this year. Only lost 3 seniors on defense. Offense pretty much all returns. That's going to be a special group out there in New Jersey. Ranked in the top 25 according to Max Preps. Next up is CJ Williams. Probably the craziest recruitment yet. CJ Williams, early, it was like Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. His father played at Bama, USC, Stanford. And Notre Dame is probably running about 9th or 10th. They're just chilling there towards the end as I turn on Donovan Heinish's junior season tape. But then time went on. The dead period extended. Visits weren't happening, and Del Alexander and Tommy Rees started to talk to CJ more. CJ started to sit down and be like, hey, why isn't Notre Dame one of my top schools? They have everything I want. Now, the location wasn't a huge factor for him. He wanted to go somewhere far away from home to challenge himself, and Notre Dame fit that. So took an official visit to South Bend. Absolutely loved it. Blew him out of the park, and I think right there he knew Notre Dame was the spot for him. Took a few weeks to think it over back at home. Was deciding if he wanted to take fall visits elsewhere and whatnot, but he said, this is where I want to be. I'm heading to South Bend, and he committed in early August. Huge day for Notre Dame fans, and he joins Tobias Merriweather and Amorion Walker in this 2022 wide receiver group that is already lining up to be special. If they can land a guy like Major Everhart from Texas or Xavier Bradshaw, that'd be even better. Let's go now to Amorion Walker, our third to last guy I'll be touching on. I'll do 3 of these. I'll cover everyone. And then I'll probably do another one once they land another couple guys before signing day or after signing day. Amorion Walker is an interesting recruitment. It was March. I remember I was chilling at my house. I open up Twitter and I see, wow, Amorion Walker committed. Interesting to say the least. I don't think anyone really expected this to happen. I guess Notre Dame gave him the green light, and he said, I'm in. He took it, visited Notre Dame for an official visit at the end of June. Absolutely loved it. That solidified his commitment. But things were a little shaky before that and after. Went to Alabama for a little camp with his teammates, but did some skills, ran an impressive, I believe it was 4.44 40-yard dash time in front of Nick Saban. Nick Saban said, we have to offer this kid 6'4", running a 4.44 wide receiver, can play DB as well. They wanted that on their team. So Alabama's offered. I don't think he's a priority, but he's definitely a fallback plan. LSU, they offered as well, making things more interesting. The home state school, it's hard to keep those kids away from LSU. So LSU's definitely in this. And then Michigan offered. Michigan's DB's coach, Ron Bellamy, decided from West Bloomfield High School, Donovan Edwards' old high school, by the way, decided to send an offer. He's from the Louisiana area, so it made sense. But I'm pretty sure he got Amorion Walker to campus in July. Interesting. Can't confirm that, but it's pretty likely that Amorion Walker went to Ann Arbor, Michigan this July for their big cookout. Now, does Notre Dame like that? Not at all. But Notre Dame understands these kids haven't taken visits. It was kind of just a thing to say, what's up to this coach who's been putting interest. Still, they don't love it. None of the other commits have visited elsewhere since they've been committed, but we'll see what happens this fall. I do like him to end up in this class, though. Second to last guy, Donovan Heinisch. You're watching his highlights right now. This one is pretty easy. Pitt, Rutgers, few others offered, but this was down in Notre Dame right when he got the offer. Picks went in. He committed in early June, getting the momentum rolling. June 4th, I believe the day was. Same day Kane Madden committed, by the way. Offensive line transfer from Marshall. But yeah, Donovan Heinisch, big-time pickup. I actually think he's a low 4-star. Not trying to be a homer. I think he's a talented kid. He just doesn't go to these camps. Doesn't have a ton of offers to prove. But with a very solid senior year, he could definitely get that bump. Finally, Devin Moore, safety from Florida. This was interesting as well. Florida and Bama were some of his big contenders. Took an official visit to Notre Dame June 18th through 20th, which was his first official. Took unofficials to Florida and Alabama. And then went to Stanford. And Stanford just knocked his socks off. I think he thought he was going to Stanford after that official visit, but Notre Dame got in his ear. Notre Dame said, no, Notre Dame's the place for you. Mike Mickens, hats off to him. Same with Chris O'Leary. They were in his ear. They got him back to South Bend. And I think Notre Dame is the place for Devin Moore, but Stanford definitely made it interesting late. So that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the support. That's it for me. I'll have part 2 soon.